Hi there everybody, my name is Ali and today we will be going to do task 9 from TryHackMe-Nahamstore, which will be regarding SSRF, which is server-side request forgery. Now SSRF is a vulnerability in which we can send requests on behalf of the server. So in SSRF we will try to find out a way so that we can send requests as a trusted server in the target's network. For example, let's suppose we have a shopping website and that website fetches something from the internal domain or any URL that we don't know. So if we change the URL to something like, let's say, localhost or 127.0.0.1, and if we get something interesting back there, then we have a SSRF vulnerability. Normally, I will test for SSRF in any URL which I will find to see if I can access the internal resources or not. So today we will first find the parameter which will be trying to fetch data from the internal resource. Then I will try to bypass some restrictions and then we will try to get sensitive information from the server. So that being said, let's jump in. I already have started my machine and my IP address is 10.10.30.83. So I will come here to task number 9, which is SSRF, and it says the application has an SSRF vulnerability. So see how you can exploit it to view an API that shouldn't be available. So it says credit card number for Jimmy Jones. So we will solve the answer as well, and first of all we will use our normal methodology trying to find out some parameters where we can try for SSRF vulnerability. Then we will try to bypass a lot of filters and then we will see how we can get the credit card information or internal resources from the web server. So first thing first, I will come to the browser and I will go to nahamstore.thm. And right now I will be going to see a shopping website right here. Now normally I will test for SSRF in every URL parameter which I can see. Normally when I click on register or when I click on login, I see a URL parameter. So let's see if I can see that right here, and it says register only, so I cannot see right here login, and I cannot see any URL parameter right here. If I click on register here and it doesn't seem anything, let's try to register with our test account. So test 123 at test.com, test 123456, and again nothing in the URL. I can also see this request in BurpSuite as well, but right now let's log out from here and let's analyze the website much more. So the first thing first, I will click on any item right here. So let's click on view. So let's see what happens. So I got a product endpoint which is having an parameter of ID and is equal to 2. So normally ID parameters might not get vulnerable to SSRF, but we never know. We can try, but again it is not trying to access anything from the internal resource, because for SSRF we need to see those parameters which are trying to access something from any URL or any subdomain or any like localhost or any something which is a proper domain. So right now nothing interesting here. Then I will click on add to basket right here, because we need to analyze the website much more deeply. So nothing happens. I got one more parameter, that is added is equal to 1. Nothing interesting right here. Let's go to cart, and in the cart I cannot see anything, and it says you need to log in or register. Now let's click on BurpSuite Professional. I am right now using BurpSuite Professional, and if I come here in target scope, and I will add a scope right here. So I use advanced scope control, click on add, and then I will go for, like, let's say Nahamstore. So anything that is having Nahamstore in it, I will just intercept this one, and yes, then I will go to proxy, re-enable HTTP history, and so in HTTP history, I can see right here. So now if I come back, I turn on my BurpSuite here, and if I refresh the page, now I will see everything in my HTTP history right here. So now what I will do is I will simply try to click on every item, and I will see where I can try to access something. So not anything here. Then we have login and register functionality, and now you can see when I am having my mouse over to register endpoint, it is redirecting me to /basket. So if I click on this one, let's see what happens. So now you can see when I clicked on this one, I got a redirect underscore URL parameter, and it is saying is equal to /basket. So now this looks interesting, but still it is accessing /basket. Now I don't know whether it will be vulnerable to server-side request forgery or no. So I will come here into my BurpSuite and I will click on this one, and I will send this request to repeater. So in when I will see all of the parameters, I will start doing test for SSRF. So this will be the first one where I will try to look for SSRF vulnerability. Then I will come back here and let's try to enter our email and password. So let's click on login. So test 123 at test.com and test 123456. I am logged in now. Let's click on then view and let's click on add to basket, and it says discount code add to basket check stock. So let's click on check stock as well, and it says there are 293 items in the stock. So I don't know how it saw these items, but we will see all of the things in my BurpSuite. Then I will click on, I will go to my basket again, and it says you don't have any address, add another address. Then let's do test everywhere. So test in here, test in here, test in the address as well, test in here as well, and 1 2 3 4 5 6 here. So add address, and let's go to now Mr. Test credit card number. So 1234 1234 and 1234 and 1234, make payment. And now I have made a payment as well, and let's come back to our BurpSuite now. So if I go into my HTTP history, I can see everywhere is Nahamstore, and I can see all of the requests. So let's analyze these requests manually. So first place where I can try for SSRF is this one. So I have sent this already to repeater. Let's go to login, and I cannot see anything interesting on login endpoint. Then login post parameter, I can see only two parameters, login underscore email and login underscore password. So this one again, nothing interesting here as well, and nothing interesting here. So I'm having add to basket is equal to 1, discount is equal to, this one is empty. Then here I am having get request, nothing interesting, stock check. And here, yes, I can see that here there is another parameter which is calling another, I believe this is a subdomain. So when I enumerated subdomains for nahamstore.thm, I found stock.nahamstore.thm. So this is very useful. So what I will do now is I will simply send this request to repeater as well, and now I will move on. So slash basket, again no parameter, and here again this is the same one I believe, which is redirect underscore URL to basket, and right here again redirect URL. I already have sent this to repeater. Here this one, nothing interesting, nothing here, and account orders, nothing here as well. Now I will come to my repeater, and here I have two requests. The first one is having a redirect underscore URL, which is having slash basket. So let's send this request and let's see the response. Now the most interesting thing which I like to see in the response is, first thing first is the bytes. So I'm having 3421 bytes. So I will always look the response size to see if something got changed or not. So if I scroll down, this will be the main page of this one, or yeah, so this looks like this is a login page right here. So what I will do is I will change it from slash basket, and I will simply do for SSRF, the first thing which I like to do is I simply add http colon slash slash 127.0.0.1, which is localhost, and hit send. And let's see what it says. So the response is again 3421, nothing got changed. So it looks like might not be interesting anything. Then after that I like to go for localhost. So then I will do local host, hit send. Again the same response, nothing happens. Then I will go for port 80, send, nothing interesting. Then I will go for port 22, might be SSH port might be open internally, but nothing here as well. Then what I can do is I can try to do a lot of bypasses as well. Sometimes it might be possible that there might be some bypass. So for that I would like to go to payload all the things. So if I go to payload all the things, I will click on the first link, and from here I will search for SSRF, so server side request forgery. So let's see where it is. This one, server side request forgery, and right here I can see a lot of bypasses, a lot of things. So the first thing which I like to do, because some people does not like to do stuff manually, I would highly recommend that you should do all of the stuff manually. But if you don't want to do manually, you can also go for automation. And how you can automate those, try pick every payload from here which is in payload all the things. So copy all of these, I will come to my BurpSuite, I will send this request to Intruder. So I will send this request to Intruder, come to Intruder, and where I need to test for payloads, I will add that one. So let's say test here. So I will clear all of these and I will simply add this one here to add, and then I will go to payloads and I will paste all of the payloads from payload all the things. So let's do really quick. So let's copy all of these, paste, then I will come here, copy these ones as well and paste. Then scroll down, I will copy this one as well, paste, and I think so that is enough, but let's try. So paste, and let's try this one as well, paste. So we have now 16 payloads which will be looking for server-side request forgery. So now I will click on start attack and let's see. And now this is BurpSuite professional version, so it will be quite fast. So we can see the response as well. We are having all of the responses and all of them are having 200 OK and length of 3421. So there is nothing different. So these payloads are also URL encoded as well, so we can uncheck the option of URL encoding as well. Let's try without URL encoding. So if I uncheck this one, start the attack, and this time again 3421. So if I click on any one of these, see the response, I get the same thing. So might not be vulnerable, but what else we can try is there might be some sort of blacklist, there might be some sort of whitelist. So we should try each and everything. So for blacklist or whitelist, sometimes for blacklist, the BurpSuite intruder payloads might bypass the blacklist, but for whitelist, they might not bypass those, because what actually happens in whitelist is that they will tell you that hey, you need to specify only those which are having nahamstore.thm in the URL. So that will be whitelist. So if I specify any URL which is not having nahamstore.thm, that will be just filtered out. So let's try. But right here I saw that here was basket, so I believe might not be useful in this case as well. So I think so this endpoint might not be vulnerable to SSRF. Let's move on to the second one. So the second one was right here, which is server is equal to stock.nahamstore.thm. Now this looks really interesting because I'm having a domain name right here, and I know this is a subdomain of nahamstore.thm. So first thing first, what I will do is I will first of all send this to and let's see the response. And the response says that id to name is sticker pack and stock is 293. So it is giving me the stock information. Then what I will do is I will simply remove this one and I will simply add this one 127.0.0.1 and hit send. And here now I get a proper error message. It says server is invalid. So I will definitely try to do a lot of things here, because now I am having a different error message. And again, on error messages, I always try to do a lot of things, try to bypass this error message. And if I get a bypass, that is SSRF vulnerability. Now the first thing I will do is, again, I will remove this one and I will do localhost, hit send. Server invalid, that's fine. Let's do port 22, send, nothing. Port 8080, server invalid again. Then I will do 127.0.0.1, send, server invalid again. Let's try to URL encode this one. So select this one, control U, send, double URL encode, send. So I press Control U to URL encode and again Control U to double URL encode. So nothing happens. So Control Shift U to URL decode this one, and nothing is happening right here. Then I will again send this request to Intruder to see if there are any payloads that might work. So clear everything and select this one where I need to test for SSRF. Click on Add, go to the payloads, and I will copy the payloads from the previous request. So copy, I believe, Control C, come here to paste. Okay, so 16 payloads. Let's start the attack. And I am having the status of 400 on every one of these, the length of 300, and let's see what is in here. And it says server invalid. If you don't want to do in this way, what you can do is you can copy the error message. So server invalid is the error message. You can close this one, you can go into options, and you can clear this list from here, which is in the grep match. And what you can do is you can paste your error message right here, and now if you start the attack, it will also tell you that whether some which request is not having this error message. So you can see server invalid section here, and every one of these is 111. So it means that all of these requests are having an error message of server invalid. If there would be 0, so I can simply say that okay, that this one is not having an error message of server invalid. So this is also pretty handy as well. Now again, nothing is working, so I can see all of these blacklists can bypass sometimes doing this request, which is square brackets 2 colons then colon 80, sometimes bypasses this one, sometimes 21307064333 also bypasses SSRF. But again, this is blacklist, so blacklist, it cannot be bypassed, I believe, so I don't know. So now what I can do is I can send this request to repeater. Now again, let's come back to repeater, and if I do here, let's say let's try for whitelist. So might be possible that they might be doing whitelist. So the original request was stock.nahamstore.thm. So if I send, I got the response. Now what is whitelist? Whitelist means that they are saying that you should have stock.nahamstore.thm in the URL. If you are not having stock.nahamstore.thm in the URL, then we will not give you anything. So that's why when I removed this stock.nahamstore.thm and I tried localhost 127.0.0.1, all of that stuff, it was not giving me anything. But now I will try to bypass whitelisting. So how to bypass that one? What we can do is, the first thing is we can go for at, and then we can do simply localhost. So if I do 127.0.0.1, hit send, let's see what happens. And here we go, I got 200. Okay, this was strange. And okay, so it says Naham store 404 page not found. Let's see the response in the browser real quick. So show response in browser, copy, let's come back to browser, paste the response, hit enter, and it is saying me that page not found, sorry, we couldn't find /product/2 anywhere. So this looks really interesting because I didn't navigate it to /product/2. So somehow they are appending /product/2 somewhere in the request. Now I don't know where it will be, but now to comment out or to filter out all of these sort of things, what we can do is we can set a hash sign. So if I do hash, hit send, and now you can see I am having different page. So now it doesn't say 404 not found. I got 200 okay as well. If I send this request to or show in browser, so copy, let's come to browser, paste, hit send, and now I am redirected to the home page. So it looks really interesting because now I can try to do something malicious. Now I did localhost and I got the home page, but the problem is I need to find some internal resources and those sort of things. Now how do I do that? Now the first thing which comes into my mind is that I can try to look for like for example, I saw here that it was redirecting me to, or it was going to stock.nahamstore.thm to look for internal resources. So what if I try to do the same thing? So I do stock.nahamstore.thm, hit send, and here again you can see I am getting the information from internal resources. So I am getting the endpoints as well. So it is giving me endpoint /product. So if I go for /product, send, and here you can see I got the product IDs from the backend. Now this is really from the backend. Now I can see using these sort of things using publicly as well, but I can also see these sort of things from the backend. Now this is server side. this is not on the client side, this is server side, and server is making the request and we are getting this response. So now I am 100% sure that this is vulnerable to server side request forgery. Now what I will do is I will look for all other endpoints or all other things which I can do for like subdomains or any other stuff. So if I go for here, like let's say, or we can do a brute force attack as well. So I will do a brute force attack right here. In here might be like, let's say, API. So api.nahamstore.thm, let's see if it gives something, and it is taking a long time. It is waiting. So if I cancel this one, let's see if I do stock again, why it is waiting. Okay, stock is working, but API is taking a lot of time. Yeah, so it is waiting. So I don't know, I might be able to do a brute force attack or not. So let's see. Yeah, still waiting, but okay, now it comes back. So it's taking a lot of time. So brute forcing will take a lot of time as well. So if I do, let's say, what else we can do? We can go for localhost, but localhost might not work. But let's try just to see if it is taking time. And yes, it is taking a lot of time. So but that's fine, it is giving us a response after some time. So we can try for fuzzing for right here. So I will do fuzz.nahamstore.thm, and I will send this request to Intruder. And now I will clear all of these and I will select only this first part here, click on add, and now I will go to the payloads and I will load a word list. Now for this video I have loaded a small word list because it can take a lot of time. But first of all, let me show you which word list you should use and you should always use. So the word list which you should use will be present in seclist. You can go to GitHub as well. I already have downloaded seclist, so I will locate seclist and grep for like DNS. And right here the word list which you should use, and I would highly recommend that you should use, is dns-json-haddix.txt. Extremely useful word list and very useful. It is having all of the domain names, all of the subdomains in this one. So you should use this one. I will not choose this one right now because it will take a lot of time. So just to save time, I will use a small word list which I have downloaded right now. And again I will come here and I will now load, and I have loaded that into my, let's see where I have, in slash, then in root, bug bounty, Nahamstore, and right now here I have subdomains.txt. I will click on open, not this one, these are the original subdomains. Load a word list. So I will use internal word list right here, click on open, and now I am having 4992 words right here. So now I will click on start attack, and now it will be quite slow because again we saw that it was taking a lot of time. So let's wait for some time. So now my scan is still going on, almost 48, 49 almost. So but right here you can see I got some response back here, and this one is internal API, and the length of this one is 346, which is quite different from the other ones. And the other ones are having a length of 280, but this one is having a length of 346. So let's see what is on internal API. If I see the response right here, and again you can see I got the response back, and this time it is again giving me endpoints. Now this is internal API, might not be public. So let's see this in repeater. So I will keep this attack running in the background. Let's come back to repeater here, and now I will change this to internal API. So internal dash API, hit send, and still taking time, but let's wait. But I can close this BurpSuite now. It might be taking time due to this one, I don't know. Let's send it this again. And okay, so it was taking time because of my BurpSuite intruder. And before doing anything, let's see whether internal API was present in the word list of JHaddix. So what I will do is I will copy JHaddix word list, I will cat it out, and I will grep for internal dash API, hit enter, and here you go. You can see the JHaddix Wordlist is having internal API as well, internal API.dev as well, .docs as well, GW staging, .test as well. So I would highly recommend you that when you are doing these sort of things, always go for this JHaddix Wordlist. Extremely useful. Now coming back to BurpSuite, now I can see some endpoint, and in the endpoint it says orders. So I will come here, I will do /orders, hit send. Unknown endpoint, is it orders? Yes. So you can see now I got the information about all of the orders. I can see their ID, and yeah, so their order ID. So let's see the first one, which is this one, order ID. Copy, then I will do / paste the order ID, hit send. And here you can see now I got the information about everything of this user. So it is rita.miles, we can see its email, and here the payment method type is equal to MasterCard, and I'm having the MasterCard number as well. So in this way you can try to access the internal resources of any website by doing these sort of things, by bypassing whitelisting. You sometimes blacklisting also get bypassed, sometimes whitelisting, and you can also try for blind SSRF as well. Now again, let's try for blind SSRF, and finally we will see the details for the user which is specified for TryHackMe to complete the task. Now blind SSRF are also very important, and what we actually do is we try to call a web server which is in our control, and BurpSuite professional version has amazing thing which is called BurpSuite Collaborator client. So if I click on Burp right here, and if I click on Burp Collaborator client here, I will see this sort of window right here. Now what I need to do is I need to simply copy it to clipboard like here, and I will paste this everywhere in my URL. And I have seen a lot of bug bounty reports where they have done this in referrer part as well. So if I do paste this in referrer part, so if I remove this one, or let's send this request to repeater again just to duplicate this one, and if I remove the referrer part, I have seen a lot of times in bug bounty reports that if you paste Burp Collaborator client in your referrer and hit send, sometimes you get a hit onto your Burp Collaborator client. So let's come back to our Burp Collaborator client, and then we need to click on poll now. So if I click on poll now, a lot of times I am not getting anything, but sometimes you get some DNS and HTTP request right here. So this technique is called blind SSRF, where you cannot see the output of the website, you cannot see the response of the website, but it is completely blind. So right now it is not working right here, so I'll do Control Z, and now what I can do is I can simply, first of all, I will remove this complete request. I will paste blind SSRF payload send. It says server invalid, but let's see our collaborator client and poll now, and nothing happens again. So might not be vulnerable, but what we can do is we can do the same thing, stock dot nahamstore dot thm at, then paste the burp collaborator client, hit send, and let's see what it says now. Still taking time. Let's go back to our collaborator client, poll now, and now you can see I got the request. So this is blind SSRF, so we can see the request as well, and sometimes we can also see the IP address. So it says that the lookup was received from 3.251.105.252, which can be an internal IP address, because I know this is not my IP address. So definitely it will be internal IP address. So but you never know. So this is how actually blind SSS does work. Extremely useful. So this was it, and let's come back here, and let's do get the other information of the cards as well. So the other one was, if I go to orders again, send. The second order was of this ID, copy. I think so it was for Jimmy Jones, I don't know, send. Yeah, let's see on TryHackMe what it was. Yeah, credit card number for Jimmy Jones. So I think so it is Jimmy Jones, name Jimmy Jones, and credit card number is this one. So let's copy this number, come back to TryHackMe, paste it right here, click on submit. Okay, so my intercept was on. So forward everything, intercept off, And here you go. So your answer is correct. So this was how you can try to exploit SSRF vulnerability. Try to look for SSRF vulnerability in every URL parameter where you are seeing URL. Always try to look for there. Always try to look for open ports. Always try to go for blind SSRF, try to bypass whitelisting, try to bypass blacklisting, and keep on struggling hard. And sometimes you can try to get a bypass. So this was it for today's video, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.